October is my absolute favorite time of the year, and to celebrate, my partner and I here exclusively watch only the bestest of the horror genre. We also love trying to tie Lego into that equation in any way that we possibly can. So over the next month, I'll be taking a look at some of the best Lego horror inclusions from one of my favorite Lego themes that ever released, Monster Fighters. Released in 2012, and some of those sets retired that same year, a couple of them made it into 2013, the line featured some of Lego's best translations of some of the most famous iconic horror characters of all time. One of Lego's own original creations, the sets took an inspiration from the Universal Monsters roster of characters. Now the line appealed to both adults and to kids. The theme's original story is that of a Dr. Rodney Rathbone who uncovers the nefarious plot from Lord Vampire, the ruler of the monster realm. He plans to turn our days into night permanently and to rule the mortal world by unleashing his monster army. To do this, Lord Vampire needs 6 Moonstones to help power a machine of his own creation. It's up to the team of Monster Fighters to stop him. Classic Lego original plotline seen in many themes before this one. If you enjoy these videos, liking and subscribing does help to support this channel in creating more videos just like this. This is set 9467, The Ghost Train, which released in 2012 for 130 NZD. As expected with Lego trains, the resale value on this thing is so high. You can expect to see it for around 300 or so brand new. Now the ghosts are in the exact same scenario as zombies. Where do I even begin by saying which movie had the first ever ghost? A movie from 1896 titled Le Manoir du Diable in French is labelled as possibly the first ever horror movie that featured a ghost. In English it's known as The Haunted Castle or The House of the Devil, which seems to be the more popular one. The movie's on YouTube by the way as well, but your definition of a ghost can be super loose compared to someone else's. The set overview here is a long ghost train plus a plane for the heroes to fly around in. Full disclosure, some parts be missing from this set. Ooh, spooky, because I have no idea where they went. Ooh. Let's get straight into that train here. I'm personally very 50-50 on Lego trains. Of the multiple Hogwarts Express sets that released and the 3 that I own personally, eventually I kind of just reflected and found that, you know, once you have one train set, you kind of have them all. I like trains that have some really good interiors going on. This set has a really great exterior, but there's not a whole lot going on inside the train. We'll start with the front carriage here because it's one of the most interesting parts, I think. The locomotive's engine here is a nice big bulky design. There's a snowplow at the front here with a really cool ghostly face on a circular dish. The face is glow in the dark as well, by the way. Up top by the chimney is a cool looking cartoony green flame, and behind it in the distance is the Moonstone. This is the most substantial part of the build here. I love those tails with spiked edges crawling all over the locomotive. The carriage just has the Moonstone standing there in broad daylight. A shame because we did have a few sets back to back that featured the Moonstone as an actual feature, but here it's just like those cheaper sets. It's just here for display mostly. For those that are unfamiliar with Lego trains, they do have their own design bases and wheels. I believe these are common across all train sets. They can be placed onto Lego train tracks. Unfortunately though, I don't own any of those tracks myself. The inside of the carriage here has a small hatch for some fuel, no coal or anything included though, but you can interact with this section here and open it up. We have the first of 2 little carts that are used as the in-between little carriages for the main engine and the prison cart. It connects onto the main cart like so, and all of the carts use the same connectors. The cart on its own is quite nice, looks like a small little micro build of a ghost car. Lots of bones on full display and some bat wings as well. Ghosts, I guess, don't give off a whole lot for design wise, so the entire train is built around bones and bats, and it can fit a minifigure on the inside as well. The wheels are placed onto these comb wheel pieces, which have a longer tip that can touch the wings that are placed up top. So this way, when the cart is moving, the wings will be responding and flap as though they're flying, or at least show off some minor movements. It's really funny and I like it. I'm just not sure if the feature actually works to the full extent, and I'm not sure if that's because it just doesn't work as a whole, or if I did something wrong. Sometimes the wings will move at the same time as one another. Sometimes only one of them will move. Sometimes none of them will move at all. It feels really random most of the time, and it shouldn't really, because it should be entirely dependent on how I've placed that comb piece that I showed you. Might not be super obvious here on camera, but in person, I was messing around with this for a long time just to make sure that it was working. The best scenario, having to press down really hard on the desk, did seem to give the better result. Like I said, you get 2 of them in the set, and I think you build both of them at the same time. So now we're onto that prison, which looks really good actually. It uses the same kinds of cool details with the bones and the spikes as everything else has in the build, but the doors are the most unique part to me. It's a series of battle droid arms in white holding onto a bone. It gives that rigid look as though it's really made from minifigures' bones. Very big, a little tough to display as one full thing, but the train can easily pull itself along quite nicely, and everything seems to respond the way that you want it to. The hero's plane here is a really decent inclusion. It's a shame that I seem to be missing a pretty key part here though. Nice color choices with the reds and the greys. It suits the characters and the world quite nicely. We have a spinning propeller and some more pistols used for exhaust details. There's some flick fire missiles and some fizz pieces which are connected to these nice green rubbery hoses which should be connected to a giant barrel. It's supposed to resemble some form of a vacuum weapon. It would have been difficult, but I would have loved to have seen if LEGO could have come up with a way to make Ghost be able to be sucked up into that barrel. There's a chain hanging down here which is supposed to be used for Ann Lee to just be dangling down and firing upon the enemies. A few parts of the set were glow-in-the-dark elements. Most of these sets began to feature a few elements that were glow-in-the-dark. Looks pretty cool and spooky when they are all on display and you're trying to go to sleep. This is Ann Lee, who previously appeared to us in the Mummy set, where I went over who she is as a character in the context for the theme. She's a pilot and she's included with a plane here, so it's actually fitting quite nicely. I like her torso design, which feels like she's from a horror western. Her most unique feature is that hairpiece. It's a rubbery design. It has a small minifigure hand gap for holding onto objects, and in this case she included an arrow. Double-sided face. She's the exact same minifigure that released in that Mummy set. This is Frank. The exact same things can be said for him as I mentioned for Ann Lee. He was first featured in that Swamp set, in which he is the exact same minifigure. Greaser type, nice expressions for prints for his jacket. I really like that Elvis hair that's used for him and his scarring as well. The ghosts were the most interesting part of the set because it was the first time that the classic Ghost had ever had a redesign for a generic inclusion of a set. We had Ghost minifigures of named characters before this release, but this was changing the design of LEGO's own original idea of a Ghost. The Ghost features the exact same sandwich board piece that goes over the torso with no printing underneath and just a black head for eyes. The Ghost can also glow in the dark. What makes it so different from the original Ghost is the expression and the pointed hood, and in this set you get 3 of them. This design would remain the standard for some time actually, even bleeding onto other themes like the LEGO Movie line and the Scooby-Doo sets. Then in 2020, we saw the closest release to a generic Ghost in the excellent Haunted Mansion set, and the Ghost saw a brand new redesign. Our Moonstone this time around is a really cool blue one with a white print of a ghost on it. The instructions were included in 2 different booklets, the first being the plane and the main engine, the second being everything else. Theming for the wave was a booklet that was covered in fog and a moon up in the top corner. We have a pretty cool poster of the theme as a whole with all of the characters, and in the other booklet we have a page that shows off all of the main features of the set, plus an ad for the website and an ad for LEGO Club and the Win Kid. So it's a cool set overall, I can admit that. I'm just not really a train person myself. I need something that goes a little bit further. As far as scary trains go, I thought that Hidden Side one looked pretty excellent with some good looking interactive features and details. For me personally, picking a generic theme like ghosts and reusing the cheapest mainline characters, I think I would rather grab that Mummy and Black Lagoon set. If you enjoyed this review and you want to see some more Monster Fighters videos, liking and subscribing does help to support this channel. Ka kite anō.